the heart of West Texas at Griffin Art. Today is the day I record Art Chew. So here you go, in my heart sweater. Lovingly, no pun intended, thrifted from a local store here in town. I love thrift shopping, but that's not really art related. Although you can find good art supplies at the thrift store if you look. A lot of the things that I use for collage involve paper. And so I have found several books and magazines that are really, really good for that. I have 3 dictionaries. I have a stack of magazines. You can cut letters and pictures and things from to use in your art journal or your pieces or however you want to do that. So don't discount your local thrift store for stuff like that. So that's a good thing. I have no new products this week. Nothing that is new to me. I have not shopped for products in probably 2 weeks. I did order some more of the PBO Studio acrylics that I had talked about before in the iridescent colors because I love these so much. I'm going to tag them in my video. So maybe they will say, hey, she likes it and she's talking about it. We should send her some free stuff. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm running out of room on my little cart over here. So I do have some of those on order. I ordered Payne's Gray and a yellow green. And I think that was all. I wasn't looking to spend a whole bunch. And I ordered those from Blitzy, which is a crafter's app. So those it's a little bit like Zulily, if you're familiar with Zulily at all. It doesn't come right away. It's not the fastest shipping in the world, which is good for me because it gets here and I think to myself, oh, it's a surprise. I don't remember what I ordered. But they've been pretty good to deal with so far, so I've been pleased with that. I did want to talk today about stamps. Stamping is something that I got involved with when I made cards a lot. I don't really make cards anymore except for personal use. Or if somebody asks me for one and they want something specific. I used it on scrapbooks. I will occasionally use it in my art journal and mixed media type stuff. I don't a lot anymore. And I have a lot of wood-mounted stamps. Do I have one sitting here? These are, this is a small one. This is the letter N. But these are wood-mounted stamps, and they have the rubber on the bottom. This week I did something that I'd never done before. I wanted to use a script stamp in a background. And I don't know if I can get it off the table. But I wanted to, the video I was watching recommended curving the stamp. And it was mounted on a block. I couldn't do it. I sure did pull it right off the block. I didn't know that you could really do that. I had seen very recently someone that did it. And I pulled it right off. And y'all, it is sticky back there. That is super industrial glue. So I may go ahead and pull the rest of that gray pad off. Oh, look, it's going to peel real nice for me. And this is an old stamp. This is old. I couldn't even tell you where I got it or how much it was. I've had it that long. Oh, look, it's coming right off. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Yay! Now, that is clear, and I bet if you're familiar with stamps at all, you know that there are those wood-mounted stamps that this one used to be. It's just a script. It doesn't really say anything. It just looks like writing. And then there are cling stamps that are not mounted. And they look more like this. Pretty thin, floppy. And when you use cling stamps like this, you can use a block. You don't have to, but you can use a block. An acrylic block. Sorry, I just ate. I always record this right after I eat, and I wind up with stuff all stuck in my teeth. This is an acrylic block, and you can see it's got a grid line in there, so you can kind of center it. And you just stick your stamp to it. It clings right on, and then you have a stamp to use. So, I have a good amount of cling stamps. Again, back from card days. I keep them in this flat container. They're not divided. They're not categorized in any way. I just toss them in because I don't use them that often anymore. And I'm thinking of unloading some of these and giving them away, but cling stamp storage has always been a problem for me. This works okay, except if I'm looking for something definite, I'm sorry. Excuse me. There, I think I got it. Pesky Triscuits. I can't, if I'm looking for something really specific, I have to dig and dig to find it. So I know that there are people who have used page protector things like ATC card holders. They look like old picture album sleeves, and would slip them in there and put them in a binder. And I used to have a binder that I had plastic sheets in, and I would try to get them all to stick, and they wouldn't stick. So that turns into a pain. But there you go. And it makes me hesitant to unmount the rest of my wood-mounted stamps, which I've been tempted to do since this one came off so easily. And now I'm even more excited about that because the gluey pad came off. When you take it off of the block, it makes it easier to bend. So if you were going to ink this and you would roll it onto your surface like this, excuse me, burping, spitting, you never know what you're going to get. It will give you vague areas of your stamp without it being an actual square. So if you wanted the stamp to look like it was peeking through in different areas without being an actual square. And I have you can't see it, but back over here I have a tall shelf that's full of my stamps, and I've enjoyed using them over the years. Stamp pads that I have used for a long, long time. I was really fond of, and still am, Tim Holtz Distress Paints. I've seen lots of videos of ways to use these. Distress ink, it's water reactive. It's not permanent. So there are all types of things that you can do with these. I think I've even seen somebody do an entire painting with these ink pads, and I have too many to even tell you. This is Walnut Stain, that's my favorite, and Peeled Paint, that's my other favorite, because it's green, and I love green. They are not as saturated as a permanent ink would be. They're going to give you a much lighter, transparent look. But they're great, and they're the Distress line from Tim Holtz in the paints, and they've got acrylic paints, re-inkers, markers, anything you can think of. Distress Stain comes in a bottle. Distress Stickles, which is a glitter glue. So the whole Distress line comes in every color in a variety of products. And I've loved those and used them for a really long time. However, if you want something that's not going to move, if you want to stamp an image and you're going to go back over and put some paint over it, or do some other sort of wet media on top, and that's not your last thing, my iced tea, I'm going to move it over. You're going to want an archival ink. And I use, also from Ranger, I use their archival ink pad in black. And this comes in a rainbow array of colors as well, but I only have the black. That's the one I use the most. And I store my stamp pads, this is the top, I store them upside down so that the ink comes toward the surface. I don't know if that really makes a difference, I just do. Another one I use is the Stays On pad, and these are by Sunico. And it smells good. Why am I so weird about smelling? It smells good. It's got almost a vanilla-y smell to it. I'm crazy, I know. Where's my Dorland's wax? I haven't sniffed it in a video in a while. This will work really nicely with non-porous surfaces. It works fine on paper as well, but if you've got a glossy paint that you've put down and you want to use this on top of it, it works great. Just depends on what you're feeling, what you're working on. I've shown these little alphabet, since we're talking about stamps, I've shown these little alphabet stamps before. I keep 2 of them right handy. They're cool for small quotes and short words, like if you're combining hand lettering and stamping and you want to put and the. I don't recommend these for large quotes or long words because it takes for bloody ever to stamp them and hunt and peck. It's like typing with these two fingers. But they're a lot of fun and they're usually cheap. But they're a good thing for me to keep around. I have some favorite cling stamps that I keep out that I use regularly in my little, you can't see it either, but it's a rotating holder from Harbor Freight. These little flourishes, you separate them out here. You can't really see them, but they're flourishes. I use these all the time. These three in particular all the time. And they work well with acrylic paint also. You can put a little paint out on your palette. I'm looking at things popping up on the screen. I should not pay attention to that. You can put a little paint out on your palette, dab it up with your makeup sponge or even your finger, and just lightly place it on the top of there so it doesn't get down in all the cracks and ooze, and you can stamp with acrylic paint. That's a lot of fun. Another thing that is grand to do with stamps is embossing. I like it a lot. I may do some of it today. I keep meaning to pull my embossing supplies back out. For embossing, you use a different type of pad called an embossing pad. I have Tim Holtz Distress Ink embossing pad. Some other embossing pads, well, it'll say, other brands sell them. I know the Stays On people, Sunico makes one, and there are several brands. And this smells like cinnamon, straight up. So nice. Did you do that on purpose, Tim? Did you? I don't know. I'm not going to write you and ask you, but, you know. So, you're going to stamp like regular. I'll just use this to show you. You'll ink it up, stamp it on your paper, or whatever it is. It doesn't work so great on canvas, but you can try. Stamp it on your substrate, your paper, and then you're going to pour a little bit of embossing powder over it. And it'll and tap it off like you would glitter. Let me show you some embossing powder. This is embossing powder. This is the Zing by American Crafts. You can see the price tag still on it. I got this at Hobby Lobby. It's a powder, a loose powder in there. So after you stamp with the embossing powder, you dump this over it, tap off the excess. I use a little tray to keep all of mine together. It's very, very fine, and it will get everywhere. I don't see it right in my immediate viewing area, but I have a little tray that I use for it, and it has a funnel on the end so I can dump the excess back into the bottle. And once you've done that, your image is there with the powder on it. You take a heat tool like this. Yes, this is a very old heat tool. I've talked about it in several videos. And you heat that embossing powder and it will melt into your design. And you have an embossed design. It's a fun process. I've done it for 120 years. I like it. I like it quite a bit. Oh, I didn't even know that was up there. The Adirondack archival ink pad that I showed you, this one, it's upside down, there we go, this one. I also have one in the size about like, yay. But it's really old and almost dry and I don't use it that much anymore. So yeah, I just felt like talking about stamping today. And I know that there are companies like Stampin' Up! And different places that you can do sort of mail order Tupperware party type stuff for stamps. I never really got into that. It wasn't my thing. They have wonderful products. I just never was a consultant for any of those places. Excuse me. Let me grab a drink again because I'm just about choked. So that's about it for stamps, and that's really about it for products. I don't have any new things to review. My sketch box for March is on the way, so probably the first week in March, Art 2 will be, excuse me, part of that will be in Art 2. and we'll review the March box. That's going to be so fun. I can't wait. I follow Sketchbox on Instagram, and they they posted a picture with all of the boxes stacked up, getting ready to ship. I'm so excited. I have some projects, mostly art journal pages that I have done over the last week. I want to show you my Mod Kitteh. Mod Kitteh? What are you talking about? I love vintage stuff, particularly from the 60s and the 70s. Some from the 50s, late 50s, sort of the beatnik, beat poet era. The music, the clothes, especially the cars and the furniture. If I could have a whole house full of mid-century modern furniture and shag carpet and the whole 9 yards, I completely would. My husband, thankfully, keeps me in the decade that I'm in. I especially like the look of kitsch artwork. The owls that have the big giant eyes. Maybe your grandma had some. My grandma had them all over her house. Mushrooms in taupes and browns. And I was looking at old art posters, and I love old rock art posters, maybe the ones from Jefferson Airplane and the Grateful Dead and stuff like that. They used to be called acid trip posters too. I've never dropped acid, I wouldn't know. So I was looking at some of those on Pinterest, and I'm not a cat person. I'll tell you that. I appreciate people that love their cats. That's great. Go. My family's always had dogs. But I became enamored with the elongated Siamese cats that were showing up in all of these prints. So I decided to try one. It's my first effort. Don't laugh. Ta-da! Mod Kitteh. It's so kitsch. I love it. I even did the orange PBO iridescent background. I love this. I love it. And you can see his neck got kind of wonky over here, like he had swallowed a mouse, but it's not quite down his throat yet. But that's funny to me. And I did this in the large Strathmore journal. But it's cool. I like it a lot. I dug it. I made some jelly prints this week that I'm going to use for the cover of my large journal. A jelly plate is a plate 11 by, no, a little larger than 8.5 by 11. Is that letter size? Yeah, 8.5 by 11. A little bit larger than that. And you can put paint on it and monoprint without a press, actually. So I made some jelly plates, jelly plate prints this week. I did this one with a purple and a pink and sort of a magenta. I think this is going to go on the cover. It won't cover it all the way because the book is bigger than my plate, but I'm going to put some stuff around it and probably some words. But I love the way those colors came out. And you can kind of catch the ghost print of some other stencils I had on there. You can see the squares in there. So much fun. I made this one. This is where the squares were the first time. And the ghost means the after print of the first one. And the stencils on this are by Stencil Girl. This was just kind of a junk page that turned out really neat. Meaning I was just picking up leftovers off the plate. And then I had this one. I like them. And you can, once these are done, you say to yourself, well, now I've got all these great prints. What do I do with them? You can draw on them. You can paint on them. You can make cards out of them. You can tear them up and collage them. My friend Heather over at the Craft Shack made gift bags out of them. She was great. It's so much fun to play with the jelly plate. So I did some jelly plating this week. In my regular art journal, do I have anything new or interesting? I did a process video about this page that says New York is a friendly town. You can't really see it on this camera, but this was a fun page to work on. And I did this page, which the wings, I'm wishing I would not have outlined in black. I wish I had done it with charcoal and smudged it instead. But it says, no more fear, time to fly. And a big, lots of layers on this background. That same stencil. I was into that stencil last week. What do I have before that? Let your faith be bigger than your fear. You see a running theme. I was trying to conquer some things that I was afraid to do. And this was based on a Craft It Live session. And this one. Shine on, you crazy diamond. That's a Pink Floyd quote. I was using some iridescent paints and stuff that I had left over on my palette. And I have a page in progress that only has text on it. I haven't done anything with it yet. I don't know if I'll get a process video up this week. I started doing a bullet journal this week. What am I at? I'm at 20 minutes. I won't go in too much in depth about the bullet journal. I'll talk about that another day, but it's offering me a chance to work on my handwriting and be intentional about things that I plan, taking time each day to be intentionally thankful, and a spot to write down things that I'm grateful for. And it's very cool. I think there's a channel on it. If I can find the channel, I'll link to it, but I'll talk more about that another day. Thoughts this week. If you have someone in your life that invests in you, be thankful for them. I had a friend this week that I asked to have lunch with and said, can I talk to you about business things? I would like to be in business for myself someday. And they gave me wonderful, wonderful thoughts from a business person's perspective. I'm not especially business-minded, and they are not in the art or craft world. But hearing someone's opinion about those things was so refreshing, and I was greatly uplifted by that. And you know, my own vision may take a different turn because of it. But more about that another day. My brain goes in 20 different directions at one time, and so be thankful for people that invest in you, for people that are willing to share advice, people who are gracious with you, who go out of their way to understand your personality and to work with you. That's priceless, in my opinion. That's all I've got today. Nothing too exciting. Might have a process video up this week. We'll see. So have a great day. Do something. Make something. Get your hands dirty. And remember to give love.